learners, welcome to the online session for the program Certificate in Food and Nutrition. By now you must have learned about various nutrients and food groups and how they should be a part of our diet. Today we will deal with course 3, Economics of Food. I am Ms. Bhanvi Grover, your counselor for today's session. Today we will be learning about how do we spend our money. This is unit 1 of the course Economics of Food. So here is the insight to the presentation. We will be covering topics like introduction, food expenditure, that is the money we spend from our pockets to get the food. We will also talk about various factors which influence our food expenditure. Food budgeting, that is the points we should keep in mind while preparing food budget. And finally, yes, we will be preparing a food budget. Now let's understand what will be the learning outcome. What all you are going to learn after going through today's lecture. So you will understand how people belonging to different income groups spend their money. You will also understand the relationship between food price and food expenditure. And in the end, you will be confident enough to independently prepare the food budget for a given income group. Now, before we go ahead and learn about food expenditure, it is important to know about these two food groups. As you can see in the figure, here the food is divided into two categories. Group A is called the basic food group, which include staples. Now what are staples? Staples are the food items which are basic for our survival, without whom we cannot really survive. It includes food items which provide us only energy and some protein. Yes, they do not provide us with any vitamin or mineral. Therefore, they are the items for our basic survival. And the consumption of these items, that is the consumption of these staples, is not dependent on our income, the place where we stay, or any social group. So this is independent of all three things. The other group, as you can see in the figure, is called Group B. It includes supplementary food items. These items supplement the basic food items. So it means that food items in Group B, when are added to Group A, we get a complete meal. That is the balanced meal. They have a great nutritional importance, but they are not required for our basic survival. Even in the absence of supplementary food items, we can survive. These supplementary food items, they are like top-ups in our diet, which prevents many infections by providing us immunity and protection. Consumption of these items depends on our income, our health, our likes and dislikes. Now, after learning about Group A and Group B, let us know what food items fall under these two categories. Though I know you have all learned this in previous units, but let us just revise. So Group A includes cereals, pulses and edible oils. These items are basic for our survival. Depending on our income levels, we can compromise with the quality of these items, but we never compromise with the quantity of these items, because these are the items which keep us going, which gives us energy. Now, the Group B contains food items like vegetables, fruits, nuts and oilseeds, meat and poultry. All this comes under this category. These food items, they do supplement our diet and provide us with vitamins, minerals, but they are actually not needed for our basic survival. As I told you earlier, even in the absence of these food items, we can very well survive. And the consumption of these items is dependent on our likes, dislikes, and obviously our income levels. Now, let's learn about food expenditure. What is food expenditure? So, the money we spend for buying food items is called food expenditure. And let me tell you, sometimes it is not always what we are paying from our pocket for food. Some people get wheat, rice, pulses from their own farm. They get vegetables grown in their own kitchen garden. Government subsidies are also there, which help us to spend less money on few of the items. Now, the quality and quantity of food items also influence our food expenditure. I will give you an example here. As you know, rice is available in many varieties in the market. There are some cheaper varieties available like milled rice, and there are some expensive varieties available like basmati rice. So, our income decides what type of variety we will choose from. So, the expenditure on food is directly linked to one's income levels. A person belonging to lower income group cannot really afford basmati rice every day. Now, coming to the next slide. This slide shows that how our income levels affect our food choices. Money is an important factor which guides our expenditure on food. Let us first take the case of people who belong to lower income group. They are popularly known as poor people. Though their income levels are quite low, they really have to eat something to survive. Their energy requirement is same as people belonging to other income levels. Suppose there is a man who is 40-year-old. So, a 40-year-old man, whether he is belonging to lower income group, middle income group or higher income group, the energy requirement is going to be same. Therefore, the people belonging to lower income group, they spend their earning on basic food items. That is the food items which were mentioned in group A, if you remember. That is the staples, yes, wheat, rice, pulses and edible oil. Therefore, as compared to their income, their expenditure on food is high, as they are spending higher proportion of their income on food. For example, if a person belonging to lower income group is earning rupees 5,000 and they are spending 2,000 on food, what does it mean? It means that they are spending 30% of their income on food. And to meet their energy requirements, they tend to buy cheaper quality of food stuff. As I have already given you an example of rice, that we get rice in many varieties in market. There are coarse varieties and fine varieties. The coarse variety is cheaper. That is why poor people tend to buy coarse variety of rice, because they have to meet their energy requirements anyhow. Similarly, there are other food items which are available at cheaper prices like jaggery, which is cheaper. They buy jaggery instead of sugar, which is expensive. Cheaper varieties of meat and fish. Hence, the commodities in group A, especially the food grains like rice, wheat, jawar, bajra, they are all referred to as wage goods. Now, why do we call them wage goods? Since a major proportion of wages of lower income group are spent on the consumption of these commodities, that is why we call them wage goods. Now, here comes the second category, that is the people belonging to middle income group. Now, their pattern of expenditure is different, completely different as compared to people belonging to lower income group, which we have just discussed. And what do you think? This difference, why this difference is there? Yes, this difference is due to income levels. Because of higher income, they can afford food items which are better in quality, appearance and packaging. They fulfill their energy requirements by consuming better quality and fine quality of products. They buy fine variety of rice and wheat. You will see these people consuming more of supplements. They consume supplements like milk, variety of fruits and vegetables, meat, fish, nuts and oil seeds. And even after spending so much of money on supplements, these people are left with good amount of money to spend on better clothing, better housing, better education for their children. Therefore, we can say that their lifestyle is improved and their expenditure in food is comparatively less. Now, how it is less? Let's take an example. If they earn 40,000 per month and they spend 10,000 on food, they just spend 25% of their income on food. Do you remember the case of lower income group? They were earning 5,000 and they were spending just 2,000 on food, and yet they were spending 30% of their income. But here, the people belonging to middle income group, even after spending 10,000, they are just spending 25% of their total income on food. Now comes the third category, where people belongs to higher income group. You will see a similar trend here as you have seen with people belonging to middle income group. You will see these people buying most expensive and exotic food items from the market, and therefore they spend higher proportion. I am talking about proportion. They spend higher proportion of their income on food, as well as they spend higher proportion of their income on posh houses, getting expensive cars and ornaments. Their expenditure on food is quite less as compared to their total expenditure. I'll give you an example here. If they earn 1 lakh per month and they spend 15,000 on food items, they just spend 15% of their income. So you can see that as the income increases, the expenditure on food increases. Yes, the income is increasing as well as the expenditure on food is increasing, but the total expenditure, that is the proportion of expenditure on food in total expenditure, falls. I hope I am clear and I am able to explain you, as I have given you percentages, that how the proportion of expenditure on food in total expenditure is falling. Now, after the income, another important factor which governs a food expenditure is food price and quantity. Food prices determine a pattern of consumption. Many of the food items you consume can be substituted for one another. Like here, we can substitute rice for wheat. If the buffalo milk is expensive in market, we can always buy cow milk. Expensive oils like olive oil can be easily substituted by cheaper oils which are available, like mustard oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, soya bean oil. There are variety of oils available in the market. Similarly, seasonal and fresh vegetables can be substituted for exotic and expensive vegetables like avocado. So, these are the few examples of substitutes. If the price of one commodity in a group is high, we can tend to buy another commodity which gives us same service and utility and is available at a cheaper price. For example, fruits and vegetables, they are going to give us minerals and vitamins. So, instead of buying the exotic and the expensive variety, we can buy seasonal fruits and vegetables which are cheaper. Now, this phenomena is called as high cross elasticity of demand. This factor is very important when you plan your expenditure on food, and this also determines how much money you spend on each food item. Therefore, you can see in this slide the price we pay to buy food items and their quality and quantity. These two things are determining our food expenditure. Now coming to the next slide. Here you can see, and as we have discussed in the initial slides, that food items which belong to group A are important for our survival, and therefore we cannot alter their quantity. Though we can compromise with the quality, we can alter the quality, but we cannot really alter the quantity. So whether the prices of the commodities belonging to this group is high or low, the quantities consumed will not be changed. Now this phenomena is known as phenomena of inelastic demand. Now think of it, that if in a month the prices of wheat is high, can you just ignore having chapatis, or you can avoid having chapatis? No, we will anyways have chapatis, right? So this phenomena is known as phenomena of inelastic demand. Now coming to the next slide, which talks about B group items. It is quite clear from our discussion that the food items in group B, that is what we call as supplements, are not subjected to such rigid behaviors. That is, when the onions in the market are sold for 100 rupees per kg, we just stop buying it, or we reduce the consumption. Then we try to make our vegetables or curries without onions sometimes, right? I would like to give here one more example. As we know, mango is a seasonal fruit and is available in summers at a cheap price. So we increase our consumption of mangoes in summers. Whereas in winters, mangoes are still available in the market, but they are expensive. So we avoid buying mangoes in winters. That is, depending upon the price of consumption, depending upon the price of the product, we can increase or decrease our consumption. But think of it, can you do it with group A items? As I just said, like wheat in this month is expensive and we will not consume chapatis. Is this possible? No, it is not possible. This cannot be done. Therefore, the total expenditure on food depends on our income, on our taste, our likes and dislikes, various substitutes which are available in the market, like there are variety of fruits available. If the price of one fruit is higher, we can always buy another fruit which is available at cheaper price. So we have options to buy from. Now here, I wanted all of you to do one activity. Now what you have to do in this activity is that you have to select 5 individuals belonging to 3 different income groups. The 3 income groups which we have just discussed: lower income group, middle income group and higher income group. So 5 individuals from each income group, that is, you will be doing this activity on 15 individuals in total who are residing near your place, and you will be collecting the data now, as I will be showing you in my next slide. Okay. Now here you have this one performer for one income group. This performer has been spread in 2 slides. You can also refer your manual for this activity if it is not clear from the presentation. Now you have to collect data from 5 respondents belonging to that one income group. Ask them about their expenditure on these items which are listed here. Do the total as shown in the last row for all the food related expenses. Now as shown in this slide, ask them about their other expenses which are listed here. After calculating the total amount in the last row, take out average for all the 5 respondents in the last column, which is here. Calculate the percentage of income spent on different expenditure heads and record the differences you observe on the percentage of income spent on food by the 3 income groups. This activity will help you to understand that how people belonging to different income groups spend their money. You will then understand the proportion of income spent, the proportion of expenditure on food as compared to their total expenditure. Now, coming to the next slide, let us understand what is budget, which is the key point of today's lecture. So, in simple language, a budget is a statement of income, our earnings and our expenditure. So, what is coming out and what is going out? What is coming in as an income? and what is going out as an expenditure. Your earnings, as I've told you, may come from different sources. They may be in the form of salaries, they may be interest earnings, they may be gift, sale of assets, sale of produce in case of producers. Income from different sources may materialize at different points of time. So also there are different avenues for our expenditure. Now, as you know that our family has different members, and different members in our family have different needs. We have expenses related to our consumption needs, our housing, clothing, medicines, special occasions, etc. Now all these expenses have to be incurred at different points of time. A good family is one who plans its expenses in such a way that they are incurred at the time when the incomes are earned. So they are in balance with the income. Hence a budget always goes with a plan. So for all the expenses shown here, what's the plan? That is, how are we going to meet these expenses? And this answer really lies in our capability of making a good budget. Now let us understand what is the meaning of plan. What is plan? So any act of ours which is thought of well in advance before it is actually executed is termed as plan. Therefore, a plan is a detailed thinking of all our needs for the present and for future. We plan in advance for our children's education, for their marriage, for our retirement, so that we can achieve our needs, we can fulfill our needs with least cost and trouble to us. Therefore, I always say that the plan which we make for money arrangements is called as budget, and a good and a realistic plan leads to a good budget making. Now coming to the next slide, let's talk about food budget. We have already learned that we use different commodities to meet our food requirements. Within each group of food items, there are a number of commodities available. As you can see in the table here, amongst the food grains, we have rice, wheat, jawar, bajra, ragi. Amongst the vegetable oils, we have variety of oils like groundnut oil, mustard oil, palm oil, coconut oil, etc. Among the sweeteners, we have sugar and jaggery. If we talk about beverages, we have tea, coffee, fruit juices. When we talk about vegetables, there is potato, onion, tomato, cauliflower, cabbage, beans, and many more. When we talk about fruits, there are orange, grapes, mangoes, apple, etc. And we talk about other things about meat and poultry. There are other things also available: meat, fish, egg, mushrooms. Now in addition to this, there are spices, condiments, and various ready-to-eat items. Hence, it is very important to plan well your purchases of food items, keeping in mind your income, the prices you have to pay, the quality of the commodities available, and your preferences. So here are the important points to consider. Our family consists of people who are adults, aged, and children. You all will agree with me that they have different physiological requirements, and these requirements change at different periods of time. Persons in each group have the need of carbohydrate, proteins, vitamins, and minerals, and obviously other nutrients. Now, these nutrients are supplied by a variety of food items available. We must also keep in mind the seasonal availability of different food items. We must also keep in mind the likes and dislikes and food preferences of our family members. Our intelligence really lies in meeting a requirement of nutrients which are usually stable throughout the year with minimum expenses. Therefore, this involves a careful selection of different items available to meet these requirements at different points of time. Now let's understand what is price index. In the image given here, the monthly wholesale price index of various commodities is mentioned for the period of 6 months. Now you can see, as I've highlighted in yellow, that the cereals are available at cheapest price in the month of May, while the paddy is cheaper in the month of April. So by looking at the index, we can find out what is the best time that we can buy these commodities in bulk. Now rice, wheat are such items which are dry items, right? They can be stored by a household and can be used for consumption all throughout the year. Now let's understand how do we actually calculate a price index. A price index is a system of expressing the current price as a percentage of base price. This index also helps us to understand the inflation rate. Here you can see that we have taken base year as 2011-12 and the current year as 2021. Now wholesale price of wheat in the base year, that is in the year 2011-12, it was rupees 1350 per quintal, that is 1350 for 100 kgs. However, in the current year, it was 3200 per quintal. Now here is the formula for calculating the price index. You can see in the box. Price index equals to current price of the commodity, that is the price in 2021, which is 3200, divided by base year price, which was 1350 into 100. You can do this calculation and find out the price index for wheat. Now what does this price index tells us? This calculation tells us that in the last 10 years, the rate of wheat has been increased by 237%. Am I right? Now I have another activity planned for you. For the items listed here, you have to record the quantity purchased and the amount spent in purchasing that quantity in the last 3 months. That is for the month of September, October and November for say. You have to do preparation of such a statement as shown above, and this statement is going to tell you what has been your expenditure on various food items in the previous months and what best can you do in the next month about your expenses on food. This will also give you an idea about where you have overspent by either consuming more or paying more, whether your family has been able to obtain all the needed nutrients or not. So here is the complete performer, which is spreading in 2 slides. You can also refer your manual for this activity. Now to sum up, I would like to say the preparation of food budget will help you in buying the most essential commodities needed at reasonable prices and obviously good quality of products. It will also ensure that each member of your family gets his or her due in terms of nutrition. I hope you are now capable enough to independently prepare a food budget for your household and you enjoyed this session. Thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you.